Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Towards a Better Nigeria. Today is a highlight of our projected plan of restructuring. Now, the way Nigeria is being run at the moment, the structure on ground put an angel in the affair of the presidency of Nigeria. There is no way they can perform. Nobody can perform based on the structure we have on ground in that country. That was why when we started this video, we started by saying Nigeria need to be restructured. The aim of us teaming up with another political party then that made us suspended our frequent video is to table this agenda into them. Part of the agenda was received, part of the agenda was not received because everybody has their own opinion. I want to hear this agenda here publicly today, and if you can, please let me know what you think you can add or remove or amend from the restructuring plan that we have on ground. The picture of the restructuring plan will be added to this video later on. You can check it and see the flow diagram that we have put down on how to make Nigeria a better structure. Because without this structure, there is no one, no matter how good, no matter how honest, no matter how loyal that person is, you cannot rule Nigeria successfully. No. What is the plan of the structure that we have on ground? First, at the top of the affair, we have the National Monitoring Team. The National Monitoring Team will be the one applying the checks and balances to the presidential office. The presidential office has the president, the vice president, and everybody that works within that cabinet as the presidential office, which will be overseen by the National Monitoring Team. We have 4 regions, and every regions are independent: the north, the south, the east, and the central, which is called the middle belt. They all have their own prime ministers. They all run their own economy themselves. The resources that they generate from their region, they only contribute 30% of that generation to the national purse. The remaining 70%, they spend it within their region. That will bring an healthy competition. Our groundnut pyramid in Kano will start again. Our cocoa farm in the east will start again. The petroleum in the east will start again. And the middle belt, yam and corn and all that, the basket of the nation, will grow the agriculture en masse. And everybody can interchange materials and resources. 4 regions, everyone with their own prime minister. What they make from your region, you spend it and contribute 30% to the national purse. And when I say you spend it, you have your own police, you have your own Minister of Justice. Whatever it is that you want to have within your region, you have it within your region. Now we have the police, the justice ministry, the culture, the welfare ministry, and all the directorates that does not generate income should be funded by insurance, taxpayers, churches, and mosques. Enough of churches making billions and spending it all by one man. Let's take advantage of that. Any churches that is making any money above 400,000 per month, 40% of that should come back to the federal purse. Any churches that is making more than $1 billion, 50% of it will come back to the federal purse. Any churches that's making 10 billion, 60% of it goes back to the federal purse. Let Nigeria make a better use of this. Instead of sitting down, pointing fingers, accusing those pastors that they are making money and they are spending it themselves, let the federal government step in. 60% of your money, of your income, come back to the federal purse. If you will not feed the poor in your church, the federal government will feed the poor for you. Bring the money to us. Now, other ministries that generate income, like agriculture, petroleum, entertainment, etc., all the directors that can generate revenue to fund the National Directorate Office. Now, as long as we have a government where the police wages is being paid by the government, the police will be loyal to the government. As long as we have independent National Electoral Commission office being funded by the federal government, they will be loyal to the federal government. Remember, he who paid the piper, he said, dictates the tune. But in Nigeria, you did not only dictate the tune, you dictate the music and you dictate the dancing steps. So enough of INEC being run by the federal government and they are obedient to the tune of what the federal government says. I also suggest we have only 2 political parties. Enough of 31, 32, 42 political parties, and nobody even know which one are we voting for. Now, that structure that I have in ground, we will no longer have what we call a presidential campaign or a presidential vote or presidential election. There is no governorship election. What I propose is the vice president this year, in the next 4 years, we move to the office of the president. Then we run an election for the vice president. If the vice presidency this year becomes the president next year, there will be continuity of the program and the projects that they are working on. Enough of one government leaves office and the next government comes in and abandon the project. If we have 2 political parties, either Democrat and Republic, either APC or PDP, either SDP or PDP, and no matter the name we call them, if APC is the president, PDP will be the vice president. And when that one goes, the PDP that is the vice president will become the president, and APC now becomes the vice president. So you change it interchangeably like that. And with that, there will be continuity in any project that we are running. There will be less abandoned project and there will be less embezzlement. That's one of the things I propose. And a lot of other things that I propose says all regional offices to be funded by their own directorates and department. No regional office is allowed to borrow more than 1 year income generated forecast. How can a governor that will rule a state for 4 years go and borrow money and plan to pay back in 10 years? And you are staying in office for only 4 years. Who will come and pay the rest? Nobody is allowed to borrow more than the income they can generate in 1 year term in the office. If that rule is in place, governors, presidents, or politicians coming in to take over and inherit the debts of the predecessors will no longer be there. All regional, as I said, all regions will remit 30% of their income to the federal post, and 4 regions to cater for the Nigerian as a whole. Presently, the Nigerian election, the way it's been run, if you do not have money enough to select or choose or appoint your own delegates to oversee the about 750 local governments that's in Nigeria, INEC will come and give you any result that you did not bargain for. So as long as you don't have money to sponsor 750 local government representatives and pay them heavily, your election will not count, because INEC will tell you the federal government wins. So before you can have that much of money to do that, politics to you become an investment. And when you get into power, you have to make your money back somewhere and somehow. So, but if INEC is an independent body being funded by taxpayers, by churches, by mosques, they will be loyal to the public and not loyal to one particular federal government. In Western worlds like UK, America, the government does not pay for their police. It's the taxpayers that pays for the police. That's where if the government of the day misbehave, the police does not have any issue in getting them arrested, because their salary does not come from the federal purse. It comes from the taxpayers' money. Let's restructure Nigeria in that manner. Those that have the money to restructure that, but because of their greed, they won't do that. Those that have the idea to restructure that, but because they don't have the money, it does not see the light of the day. How can we merge both together? What we can do, the power is in your hand, the power is in my hand. You can take 10,000 from someone that's contesting an election and mortgage your future and vote for another bondage, another slavery for another 4 years. Or you can take that 10,000 and count it as this. Do you know what? This is part of my money that was stolen, I will take your money, but I will not vote for you. Because I already know if you are coming, this is what you are going to do. I asked few of my friends in Nigeria who is winning Nigerian election, and only two parties there that they have in their mind, APC or PDP. What happens to the rest? Why should you all think Buhari and Atiku should be the only one that will be voted in power? Both of them are not eligible, as far as I'm concerned. Nothing personal, but their track record, their achievement, and their past history suggests that none of them can turn Nigeria to what we want Nigeria to be. What happens to the rest? Take their money, take money from Atiku, take money from Buhari, and vote for a legitimate and sometimes someone completely new. Enough of recycling these old men. But how are we youths thinking? Do you think if you collect their money, you are bound to vote for them? Collect their money. Don't vote for them. Let's start somewhere. The youths of Nigeria, maybe someone like Sowore that has this massive internet voice, if he can solicit the power of the Nigerian students and let the Nigerian students come out in mass and be his representatives in all these local governments, since he does not have enough money to pay INEC, he can solicit the power and the presence of the students with this internet, with the mobile phone, with the smartphone. Let them go there, do the coverage of the election and post it on national media, so that the whole world will know that this election is free and fair and transparent. The students can do that for sure, and let us vote out these old men that are recycling themselves and are coming to do Nigeria no good. For today, as I said, the workflow of this agenda will be added to this video. Check on it, come back with me with your view, criticize it, strip it down, add whatever you want to add, send me a message, and I will review it as we go on our next video. As I said again, no saint can rule Nigeria with the structure we have on ground and performs. The structure needs to be changed first and foremost. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening. See you next week, and bye for now.